Hello, everyone. Again, I'm Professor Robert Romano, and again, you are my students for this summer session, one course, Sports Ethics and Social Justice. Glad to see everybody. Hope everyone is doing well. Today, what we're going to talk about a sports development project known as the Dove Project. So, how this Dove Project came about was the UN, the United Nations, did a resolution where the UN felt that under certain conditions, sports can play an important role in promoting a culture of peace. All right, there's conflict around the world. The UN's goal is to help resolve some of these conflicts, and they felt sport can play a role in promoting a culture of peace. And the resolution is built around the fact that building a peaceful and better world through sport and the Olympic ideals. The resolution specifically stated that be it a team competition or individual athlete, sport has long displayed an inspiring ability to overcome national, political, ethnic, and cultural differences. Imagine that. Imagine that. The UN, the United Nations, believes that teams and athletes themselves, sport as a whole, can inspire the ability to overcome nationalism, politicalism, ethnic, and cultural differences. Wow. And wonder why you want to work in this business. So the UN resolution came about, and in short, they felt that sport is an instrument of understanding among people. It is a vehicle for education about the world at large. Sport can be used as a way to educate people about various cultures, various ethnicities, various groups of people, various religions. All right, and it can be especially powerful. This is interesting, especially powerful in instilling in children and young people universal values such as respect and tolerance. So, reading what the UN's resolution was about, they were feeling that yes, let's use sport as a vehicle for peace, and we need to help use sport as a vehicle for peace by getting to the children. All right, letting the children instilling in these children these values of respect and tolerance. All right, because if we instill these values at a young age, as they grow older, it'll lead to peace amongst very different groups. Okay. Um, so, in thinking about this in sport development projects, you have to deal with certain challenges based on various different levels: social challenges, psychological challenges. Right, you got to think about how people have been thinking and dealing and handling these issues for a long time. Societal pressures, you institutional pressures, and the politics involved. All right, so you got to overcome all these various obstacles, all these various ways of dealing with people, both from a societal point, from a psychological point, and from how it's been institutionalized over time. And sometimes politics doesn't help. All right, politics sometimes promulgates and pushes people, divides people, pushes people apart. We kind of see that maybe a little bit of that happening now. Politics being used to divide people instead of bringing people together. Right. So with sports development projects, we're focused on bringing people together. Right, not dividing, bringing people together, and overcoming all these social and psychological, institutional thinkings and ways of being that people have had. Okay, so one of these projects is called the Dove Project. All right, the Dove Project of Cyprus. I have to get my coffee. Sorry. The Dove Project of Cyprus. Cyprus, if you don't know, it's an island, small island in the Mediterranean Sea. It's composed of about 77% of Greek Cypriots and 18% of Turkish Cypriots. These two communities are separated by not only their language and their ethnicity, but also by their religion. Right? So there's a big separation between these two communities. Even though, the Greek Cypriots are about 4 times larger than the Turkish Cypriots, these two communities have been separated by religion, ethnicity, and language. Cyprus, like I said, is a small island in the Middle East, roughly 1.2 million people. And it's a small island, about 3,600 square miles. For those of you who don't know where it is, it's just south of Turkey, just west of Lebanon, and north of Egypt. Okay, so this island here, this small little island here, beautiful. If you get a chance to go, please go. Travel the world. I highly encourage it. All right. So, due to this separation, due to the fact that they've been separated for generations and generations and generations, there's a high level of mistrust, fear, and insecurity about each other. All right. They mistrust. There was mistrust about others' motives. Why are you doing this? Your religion is different than ours. You look different than me. All right. And from this, the two communities did not work together very well. It's very difficult for these two communities to work together. Okay. All right. So, and interestingly enough, the schools themselves didn't help. The way the schools were constructed, it was a way that reproduced these memories of intercommunal conflict, right? They were constructed to basically, they're different than us, right? They were built on, we're better than them, nationalism, they're different than us, opposition, fear, we don't know what they're up to. And this leads to hate and insecurity, right? So even institutionally, the schools were um, teaching in a way or built in a way that reproduce these conflicts. All right, based on they're different than us. We're better than they are. So this history kept repeating itself, and repeating itself because that's what the children were learning. All right, the Dove Project was implemented to help create and develop practices based on a common interest and common goals between these two various communities. All right, and build trust between the young people of Greek and Turkish, between the young Greek and Turkish Cypriots. All right, with the older people, like with the UN, they felt that maybe with the older people they're so institutionalized, so ingrained in their brain this hatred, this nationalism, that maybe we should do something to create something based on common interests and goals and build trust between the young Greek and Turkish Cypriots. So therefore, that we can move forward from that point. And what they did was bring together an educational sport initiative. Right, the Dove Project is based on an educational sport initiative to bring the two communities together to achieve personal and social change. All right, so this is what I want you to think about when you're trying to develop your own sport development project. Maybe something like this. All right, we're two communities that can come together through an educational sport initiative to bring these two communities together to achieve social change. All right, the educational sports initiative was built around a curriculum of three. All right, sports, education, and cultural enrichment. All right, so it wasn't just going to school. No, the educational sports initiative, the Dove Project, was based on a curriculum involving sport, education, and cultural enrichment. Without all three of these things, these items, the proponents of the project didn't think it could work. You need to enrich everybody in different ways. So the first being the sport aspect of it, it was based on physical activity itself. Okay, not about necessarily team against team, that kind of thing. It was more based on collaborative, what we can do together as one. Such things like hiking, right? Physical activities, hiking, treasure hunts. Not so much performance oriented, just getting involved. With there's little emphasis on winning, us against them, because that's only going to perpetuate these feelings, right? These us against them, because everybody's going to pick people to be on their own teams. They're the people that look like them to be on their own team or their friends or whatever. So little emphasis on winning. That's not what this is about. It was used as a vehicle towards achieving educational objectives, to learning about each other and each other's cultures, and working in as a team. Right? You hike as a team. You do things as a team. All right. Educational topics. Students were to provide students with skills and knowledge in diverse areas of life. Right. So it wasn't just math, science, blah blah blah. No, we want to increase a student's awareness about diversity. Right. We want to open up a child's brain to and learn about human rights. I'm sorry. When I was in grade school, we didn't learn about human rights. But let's learn about human rights. Let's learn about what it's like to be an oppressed society and what it's like to build up a society. All right. They were also taught some conflict management, how to deal with differences, and environmental awareness, which I thought was interesting because but it kind of goes hand in hand, right? If you're conscientious about another human being, you're going to be conscientious to make sure that they have clean water. They're going to be conscientious to believe that they have good food and a nice place to live, right? So you need to understand the environment also. This kind of goes with it. You know, if you want, you don't want your friends drinking water that's undrinkable, right? So it also continued on with health and well-being. How you make each other, how you make yourself healthy while also making others healthy. It also involves some technology, right? So there's educational areas involved, stuff outside than the normal math, science, history kind of things, and started developing human rights, teaching about human rights, teaching about technology, because technology, opens your eyes sometimes. You can Google stuff, you can look at the world, you can do all that kind of thing, and maybe open your eyes to different parts of the world. Um, most of these classes were used to facilitate peace building, cooperation, and understanding, while also thinking about global awareness. No, it's not just you, not just us, not just where we are, but globally. All right. So a lot of the educational programs were built around peace, cooperation, understanding, and global awareness, not just nationalism. Um, the Dove Project believe in intergroup contact. All right. So you think about this when you're thinking about your sports development project. You want to have intergroup contract. They felt that this was the most effective tool for reducing racism, prejudice, and discrimination. And it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? If you sit down with somebody and talk to them, it does break down barriers. If you never, you ever sat down with somebody that's different from you, you don't know anything about them, so you're insecure, you're fearful. They're different, all right. But maybe if you sit down and talk and get to know one another, this is a great tool because it'll break down these racist barriers, these prejudices that we have. Okay, and they did this through having equal status among members. Everybody's treated equally, all with the common goal. Right, we're all on the same page, so we must cooperate and get to in order to get to these common goals. And all of this was supported by the hierarchy, right? The teachers, the administrators, everybody, learning coaches, all that stuff, the team coaches. They were all on page with this, right? They believed that this intergroup contact, this mixing of people, would lead to a reduction in racism, prejudice, and discrimination. As long as we treat everybody equally with the common goals so they can cooperate to get there. Um, yeah, and like I said, this intergroup process helps break down barriers of stereotypes, prejudice, and helps in educating. Interestingly enough, what they found out was that these children, once they learn and once they get over their fear and their insecurities about others, they educate others, right? They educate their friends who aren't in the program. They talk to their families about it. So this has like a ripple effect, not just within the Dove Project itself, but those who are around the Dove Project, friends, peers, siblings, families. Sorry about that. I'm drinking from my old mug. I'll turn it this way. That's better. All right. So think about that when you're developing your sports development project. All these intergroup contacts and how it breaks down barriers, but has a ripple effect of breaking down barriers. All right. And again, like these intergroup contracts, they were used as the building blocks when dealing with the unknown, and to provide a safe and sense of safety and sense of security. All this helps to reduce anxiety about each other and develop a higher mental functions. Okay, it's amazing that how your brain could change, and you could learn by learning about other people and learning about what their life is like and where they come from and their background, how it changes you, and how it enlightens you, and how you develop a higher mental psychological functioning. I mean, just from that, it's amazing. in what's going on in today's world. I mean, maybe we need a lot more of this. Maybe we need interaction, intergroup interaction between people who are in conflict, because it helps enlighten you, helps improve your mental and psychological functions. Um, there's also humanistic foundation, and besides these intergroups, there's also this humanistic foundation per the Dove Project. It was basically built on the fact that recent history suggested that segregation perpetuates the more negative dimensions of humanity. All right, so as we have intergroups bringing people together, helps build trust, build confidence, build towards breaking down stereotypes, breaking down prejudice. If we keep people apart, at the same time, if we keep people segregated, that helps perpetuate these negative dimensions, right? So this makes sense, right? And the more people are segregated, the more they are kept apart from one another, the less interaction that they have with one another. This can manifest into hate, right? And rage, which can eventually lead to some significant ethnic cleansing and even genocide. Right. So the more you keep people segregated, the more you look at them as different, the more you cast people out from you and don't interact, the more you begin to hate them. And this could lead to some serious things, right? Ethnic cleansing and genocide. I mean, those are significant. It wasn't too long ago. It was in the 1940s, right? 60, 80 years ago. 6 million Jews, people of the Jewish faith, were exterminated by the Nazis. Right? That's genocide, ethnic cleansing, right there. And Rwanda, Bosnia. I mean, it continues on and on. I mean, over the course of time. I mean, from 1944, there's been other ethnic cleansing and genocides. So we need to stop this. And maybe sport can help break down these barriers and make people take segregation away and have people interact, so these forms of hate and rage can be thwarted. In this humanistic foundation of the Dove Project, the process was built around people need to think beyond themselves, right? Beyond the me, beyond my personal needs, beyond just myself. Go beyond what a person typically sees and touches, right? Take them out of their comfort zone and develop processes that are creative, caring, and allow one to meet his or her potential. All right, so you take them out of their comfort zone, what they typically see and are around and touch, and bring them to a place where they can open up their eyes, open up the way they think. And by doing this, it'll let somebody reach their maximum potential. If you keep them sheltered, segregated, just within a bubble type of thing, you may not ever get there because you only have one way of thinking. This is it. This is it. This is it. This is it. You can't think anywhere else. But if you open up somebody's eyes, let them interact with different people, different groups, people who think differently, act differently, well, maybe this person can go beyond themselves and meet their full potential. All right. Self-actualized people think beyond self and nation and understand coexistence. Right, and these are important. Right, this is important in our society to think beyond ourselves and beyond our nation. This nationalism that's going around is incredible. I'm not going to get political. Make America great again. Well, America is great, right? But that doesn't mean other countries aren't great. Also, doesn't mean that Sweden's not great or Cyprus is not great, or Zambia is not great, or Taiwan's not great. We're no better. Different, maybe a little different, but no better, right? And this understanding to think beyond yourself and your nation helps us to understand that we need to coexist with everyone, right? Because we're all here. If we don't coexist, the alternative is woof. All right, and the self-actualization helps us to understand and accept diversity. Right, it's kind of amazing how sports interactions through sport and education can bring people together, and as it does, people start thinking. So they start thinking not just about themselves and their world and what they're used to and their little comfort zone. They kind of start thinking about others. Well, and understand what it's like to be different, and get an understanding of somebody from a different culture, and this will lead to acceptance. Wow, it's amazing what sports can do. All right, so really think about when you're doing your sport development project, what you can instill, what you can build to get here, to get people to start thinking beyond themselves and start thinking about acceptance of others. All right, the Dove Project worked. All right, the sports and education took youth from diverse socioeconomic backgrounds, genders, religions, and ethnicities, and had them engage in activities that promoted social inclusion. All right, that was the Dove Project. Took the youth, took the kids from all these diverse backgrounds, social, economic, gender, religion, ethnicities, on this small island, and had them engage in activities that promoted inclusion, social inclusion, right? And the participants developed friendships and created small communities of active citizenship, which increased beliefs that were used to help to reconcile problems on this small island. All from this small little sports program, right? People started developing friendships. They created communities outside of their insulated community, and people became active citizens, all right, to help reconcile all of these problems that have built up over generation on this small island of Cyprus. It's amazing what sport can do. The findings were that the children and the kids who took part in the Dove Project started thinking and caring of others, right? Now, above and beyond what they used to, besides their parents and their siblings, started thinking and caring of others outside. They had cross-cultural friends, right, and more tolerant of people. Right? They had cross-cultural friendships. They were self-awareness increased. Wow, and became more global thinking. All right, so these were the findings from this project after a 5-year study. They started caring of others, had others outside of their own little bubble, had friends outside of their own little bubble, were self-aware and started thinking more globally. And then, amazingly, they started transferring what they learned to real-world problems. Wow, right? They increased conflict resolution skills, the ability. They started seeing that these kids had the ability to consider other people's ways of thinking, other perspectives on how things are done. Right? Had a better understanding of the issues surrounding the island of Cyprus itself. Wow, yeah, these young kids, get them involved in intergroup sports, get them involved in intergroup education, have them start thinking about more than just thyself, and they will learn, and then they will start thinking outside, right? They will transfer what they learn to real world problems, right? And amazingly, they'll start developing and start thinking about the problems within their own community and how to resolve those problems, which is amazing. All right. So sports development projects provide a program that uses sport as a vehicle for personal development and social change. Right? That's our goal. Right? It needs to be sport and education focused, balance between healthy mind and healthy body. Right? Education, healthy mind, sport, healthy body. The term mens sana in corpore sano. I don't even know if I pronounced that right, but it sounded good in my head. All right, so this is what your sports development program is going to be about. Your sports development project is going to be about. Provide a program that uses sport as a vehicle for personal development and social change. Sport and education focused, balancing a healthy mind with a healthy body. All right, so start thinking about it. We'll talk about it on Friday during the Zoom class. What you're thinking, where you're going, that kind of stuff. And that's it. All right, hope you enjoyed this video. This Dove project was an amazing project. It's in the book. Read, more details are in the book. If you've secured the book so far, Zach, get the book, read it. I think I'm going to say that at the end of every class. But today I want you guys to think about, what you can do to help increase a healthy mind and a healthy body within yourself. Me, I'm going to go read a little bit, then I'm going to go for a 3-mile hike through the woods. All right. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time, and